Let's be honest, you've felt it before. The subtle shift in her energy when she's around you, that flicker in her eyes, the hesitation in her voice, the way she laughs a little too loudly or lingers a second too long. It's like she's standing on the edge of revealing something deep, something vulnerable, but she's holding herself back. And if you've ever wondered why a woman you care about acts hot and cold, or seems distant one moment and intensely present the next, the truth is simpler and darker than you think. She may be in love with you, but terrified of showing it. Fear is a powerful motivator, and for women, it often disguises itself as control, indifference, or even teasing games. She's not playing with you because she doubts your value or wants to manipulate you. Most of the time, it's because her heart is screaming a secret she can't yet confess. She's scared of rejection, scared of vulnerability, scared of losing herself in someone else. This fear can manifest in ways that are confusing, frustrating, and even maddening if you don't understand the psychology behind it. Here's what you need to know. Love isn't always bold. Sometimes it's silent, cautious, and wrapped in layers of hesitation. A woman who is afraid to reveal her feelings will often test the waters in small ways, carefully measuring your reaction before letting anything slip. You might notice that she remembers tiny details about your life, things that no casual acquaintance would. She notices when your mood shifts, when you're happy, when you're tense, even when you're pretending to be okay. These are not accidents. These are signs her attention isn't casual. It's intentional, even if she pretends otherwise. Her fear doesn't erase her emotions. It intensifies them. When she's around you, she might become unusually protective of herself, distancing when she wants to rush in, teasing when she wishes she could confess, or suddenly withdrawing when her feelings threaten to overwhelm her. This push and pull is exhausting for you, yes, but for her, it's terrifying. The stakes feel high. To her, loving someone is not just about joy. It's about risk, about exposure, about admitting that someone else now holds the power to hurt her in ways no one else ever could. And yet, despite the fear, her body language betrays her. Watch the subtle signals, how her gaze lingers longer than it should, how her voice softens when she speaks to you, the way her hand brushes against yours in moments that should be accidental. She might mirror your movements, echo your phrases, or laugh at things that aren't even that funny. These are tiny, subconscious breadcrumbs that lead straight to the truth. She is in love with you, even if she isn't ready to say it aloud. Understanding this is the first step toward decoding the silent language of her heart. Once you recognize these patterns, you begin to see the difference between someone who plays games and someone whose fear masks a deep, unspoken devotion. You start to see her not as unpredictable, but as human, vulnerable, real. And the truth is, once you grasp this, your perspective on her actions, her moods, and her hesitations will shift completely. You'll realize that beneath every confusing signal, every seemingly contradictory action, there's a woman struggling to balance her love for you with her fear of exposing it. Now let's take this a step deeper and uncover the specific signs she's hiding, love behind fear. Fear doesn't just hide in words, it hides in behavior. And when a woman is in love but afraid to show it, her actions speak louder than anything she says. One of the clearest signs is how she obsessively observes you, even when she acts indifferent. She notices things you never mention, the way your hands fidget when you're nervous, the tone of your laughter, or the way your eyes light up when you talk about your passions. She may never comment on these things, but she stores them in the corners of her mind. Why? Because she cares more than she's willing to admit, and acknowledging it openly feels dangerous. This fear-driven attention also shows in her timing. She'll appear in your life at moments when you least expect it, showing up in subtle, coincidental ways that make you wonder if it's chance or something deeper. She might send a casual message that seems insignificant, but it's carefully calculated. She wants to know you're thinking of her without risking vulnerability by asking directly. You'll catch her lingering glances when she thinks you're not looking, or she might smile in ways that are just a little too intimate for strangers. These are unconscious confessions she can't bring herself to voice. Then there's her voice, the way she speaks when she's around you. A woman in love but scared often softens her tone, unconsciously lowering her guard in brief moments of connection. She might tease, challenge, or even argue, but underneath it, there's a warmth that surfaces only when it's just the two of you. And when the conversation shifts to personal topics, she may suddenly withdraw, change the subject, or retreat into humor. It's not disinterest, it's self-protection. She wants to engage, but fear keeps her from fully committing her emotions to your awareness. Her social behavior is another revealing clue. Notice how she behaves around mutual friends or in group settings. She might play it cool, laugh at jokes she doesn't fully find funny, or act detached. But underneath that mask, she's acutely aware of your presence. She gauges your reactions, measures your engagement, and sometimes even uses humor as a shield to hide the intensity of her feelings. The contradiction is confusing, yes, but it's always rooted in fear. She wants closeness, yet she fears it at the same time. And let's talk about subtle physicality. You'll notice microsigns, a light touch on your arm that lingers, a brush of hair from her face when she thinks you're not watching, or a hand that hovers near yours without crossing the line. These gestures are quiet, almost invisible signals that betray her heart's truth. Fear keeps her from crossing the boundary, but desire compels her to test it. Every hesitant step, every second of hesitation is a battle between love and fear, and it's happening in moments you might have dismissed as trivial. Recognizing these behaviors isn't just about decoding her, it's about understanding her courage. Loving someone while terrified of exposing yourself requires a delicate balance of restraint and yearning, and when you finally see these signs clearly, the game changes. You start to read between the lines, interpreting not just what she does, but why she does it. And that understanding will be your key to connecting with her on a level few men ever achieve, a connection born not from force, but from patience, empathy, and insight. Words can lie, but emotions rarely do, and when a woman is in love but afraid to show it, her words often carry hidden meanings, contradictions, and subtleties that only someone paying attention can decode. You might hear her say one thing, act another, and feel something entirely different, all at the same time. That confusion, that's the language of fear masking love. Notice how she talks about the future. She may avoid using we or committing to shared plans, brushing them off with a laugh or a vague response. On the surface, it seems casual, detached, even uninterested. But if you listen closely, you'll catch glimpses of hope or longing hidden in her phrasing. Maybe she says, "It would be fun if," or "I guess that could work someday." Those tiny moments are cracks in the wall she's built around her heart. Beneath her careful avoidance, she's imagining a world with you in it. She just isn't ready to admit it aloud. Then there's the way she compliments, or criticizes, you. A woman in love, but scared, often mixes admiration with gentle teasing. Why? Because she wants to express her feelings without exposing herself completely. She might say something like, "You're so intense," or "I don't know why I even like you," paired with a smile or playful tone. To someone unaware, it seems confusing, even contradictory. But in reality, it's her heart speaking through code. She's daring herself to engage while shielding herself from the vulnerability that true confession would bring. Pay attention to her questions too. She asks things not because she's nosy, but because she's trying to understand you better, sometimes testing boundaries, sometimes searching for emotional alignment. Her questions can feel probing, indirect, or oddly specific, like she's mapping your world without daring to step into it fully. These aren't casual curiosities, they're indicators of emotional investment. She's invested in you, and that investment terrifies her. Another verbal pattern is sudden silence. You might notice that when conversations get personal or when your words brush close to her feelings, she retreats. She changes topics, jokes, or becomes elusive. It's not rejection, it's self-preservation. Love is terrifying when it feels unreciprocated or fragile, so fear forces her to build walls even if it frustrates you. The key is recognizing that retreat is not absence, it's a pause, a protective measure while she measures the safety of revealing herself further. And listen to her tone when she expresses jealousy, not overtly but subtly. Maybe she asks about other women or notices how you interact with others. She won't admit her feelings outright, but her emotional reactions betray her attachment. This isn't possessiveness born of control, it's fear-driven love manifesting in almost invisible ways. She wants to be close, but the fear of exposure keeps her in check. Understanding her words requires patience and psychological insight. Every sentence, every joke, every subtle comment is a message waiting to be decoded. When you learn to read these verbal cues, you realize that the contradictions aren't confusion, they're protection. Her love is real, raw, and alive beneath the surface. And the more you grasp this, the more you can respond with empathy rather than frustration, patience rather than assumption. The loudest confessions are often never spoken. A woman in love but afraid to show it communicates with silence, hesitation, and the energy she radiates around you. Emotional tension is the invisible language of the heart, and if you can feel it, you can understand her deeper than any words could convey. The moments when she's quiet, when she's still, when her gaze lingers too long, these are not accidents. These are echoes of the love she's too scared to announce. Notice how her presence shifts in the room when you enter. She might appear calm, but there's an undercurrent of heightened awareness in her posture, her expressions, the rhythm of her breathing. She's mentally mapping every interaction, weighing the risk of exposing herself versus the longing to be close. That tension is like electricity in the air. You feel it even before she moves, speaks, or touches you. Most men overlook this because it's subtle, but it's one of the clearest signs that her emotions are alive and intense, even if she pretends they're not. Pay attention to pauses and hesitations in her behavior. When she speaks, she may stumble over words or correct herself mid-sentence, not out of nervousness alone, but because her mind is trying to balance authenticity with self-protection. She wants to reveal her feelings, yet the fear of rejection, judgment, or vulnerability pulls her back. That internal conflict manifests externally as hesitation, slight delays, careful word choices, or soft laughs that mask uncertainty. Every pause is her heart whispering what her lips cannot say. Even her laughter carries this tension. You might notice it's softer, quicker, or comes at moments when she's nervous about exposing herself. Humor becomes a shield, a way to interact intimately without risking full vulnerability. She teases you, she flirts subtly, she jokes about herself or the situation, but the underlying current is emotional exposure. She's testing you, sensing your reactions, feeling out whether her affection is safe. And make no mistake, each smile, each playful jab is a small act of bravery. Then there's her avoidance of direct intimacy. She may keep physical or emotional distance at times, only to close it in fleeting, meaningful gestures, a brush of a hand, leaning in too close, or a lingering hug. These moments are deliberate, but tentative. She's practicing courage in increments, revealing just enough to signal interest without surrendering completely. Understanding this pattern requires emotional sensitivity and attention. Otherwise, you'll misinterpret it as disinterest or inconsistency. And finally, notice the energy that lingers after interactions. Even when she leaves, the emotional tension doesn't dissipate. You may feel a subtle pull, a residual intensity, as if the air itself remembers her presence. That's the mark of unspoken love, powerful, persistent, and alive, even when fear keeps it beneath the surface. Learning to recognize these invisible signals is not about manipulation or decoding games. It's about seeing her heart clearly, understanding her struggle, and appreciating the courage it takes to love while terrified. Once you see these invisible signs, you start noticing patterns everywhere: the way she tilts her head when listening, the way her eyes track your movements, the fleeting moments of vulnerability she exposes only to you. Emotional tension is her silent confession, and when you learn to read it, you step into a deeper, richer understanding of her psychology. When a woman is in love but afraid to show it, she doesn't just hide her feelings, she protects them. Love makes her vulnerable, and vulnerability is terrifying. So instead of confessing outright, she often tests you, challenges you, or even builds walls, not to push you away, but to see if you're worthy of the trust she hasn't yet given. These tests are subtle, psychological, and intentional. Understanding them can be the key to recognizing hidden devotion. You might notice she observes your reactions to small things before revealing more about herself. She'll ask questions that seem casual or hypothetical, but they're actually probes into your character and emotional stability. For example, she might ask how you handle conflict, stress, or loyalty, not because she doubts you, but because she's measuring whether she can safely risk her heart. These are protective instincts, and they reveal a deeper level of care. She's trying to ensure that the love she's too afraid to declare is not wasted on the wrong person. Then there's her tendency to push boundaries gently. She may tease, provoke, or even challenge you, watching carefully for how you respond. A man who reacts with patience, confidence, and emotional understanding earns her trust, often without a word being exchanged. Conversely, a reactive or insecure response triggers her fear, reinforcing the walls she's built around her heart. Every interaction becomes a test, a way for her to navigate the dangerous terrain between love and vulnerability. Her protective walls also show in moments of withdrawal. She might suddenly distance herself emotionally or physically, seemingly without reason. This isn't disinterest, it's self-preservation. She's recalibrating, assessing the safety of revealing more. If you respond with patience, calm, curiosity, or subtle reassurance, she begins to feel the security necessary to allow her love to surface. These cycles of approach and retreat are classic signals: love struggling against fear, desire fighting restraint. Pay attention to the contradictions in her behavior. She may act cold or indifferent in public, yet confide in you privately with intensity and trust. She may claim she doesn't care about your attention, but her eyes, gestures, and micro-expressions tell a different story. These contradictions are not random. They are the language of a heart that is both drawn to you and terrified of exposure. Recognizing them allows you to see beyond surface-level behavior into the raw, unspoken truth of her feelings. Finally, notice her moments of courage. Every small act of honesty, vulnerability, or intimacy she offers is deliberate. It's a signal that she's choosing to trust you even while fear lingers. A fleeting touch, a carefully worded compliment, or an unexpectedly personal disclosure is her heart reaching out in whispers, asking silently if you'll meet her halfway. Understanding and responding to these signals appropriately is crucial. It's where real connection begins, where hidden love becomes visible without forcing her to confront her deepest fears too soon. When you learn to recognize these protective instincts and subtle tests, you gain insight into her psychology like few men ever do. You see love wrapped in fear, devotion disguised as distance, and desire hidden beneath hesitation. And this awareness doesn't just help you identify her feelings. It gives you the power to navigate her heart safely, patiently, and wisely. The clearest proof of love often isn't loud or dramatic. It's in the little things, the quiet sacrifices, the consistent attention that only someone deeply invested would notice. A woman in love but scared to show it will reveal herself not through grand gestures, but through small, deliberate acts that expose her heart while still protecting it. These acts are subtle, yet when you pay attention, they speak louder than any confession ever could. Notice how she prioritizes you, even when she pretends not to. She remembers details you've long forgotten, notices moods you try to hide, and quietly adjusts her own actions to make your life easier or happier. This isn't coincidence, it's intentional, driven by feelings she's too scared to declare openly. Every small effort is her way of saying, "I care," without risking the vulnerability that comes with saying it aloud. Then there's the consistency of her presence. She may not be physically next to you all the time, but emotionally, she's never truly gone. She checks in, engages when it matters, and somehow manages to stay connected even when she's guarded. Her love is persistent, even if fear makes it seem sporadic. And here's the key. Persistence in small, meaningful ways often outweighs grand but fleeting declarations. A woman who invests in you emotionally, quietly, and consistently is signaling something deep, even if her lips never admit it. Pay attention to how she handles your needs. She might offer help, advice, or support that seems ordinary on the surface, but the thought behind it is extraordinary. She's calculating, choosing carefully where to reveal her care, ensuring she doesn't overexpose herself. These calculated acts are a dance of fear and affection, a delicate balance of expressing love while shielding herself from potential heartbreak. Her emotional investment also shows in how she reacts to your world outside of her presence. She notices your achievements, celebrates your wins, worries during setbacks, and even defends you subtly when others doubt or criticize you. Love in hiding often manifests in attentiveness. She's emotionally entwined with your life, even from a distance. And that attentiveness is proof enough that her heart is already deeply involved, whether she admits it or not. Finally, the ultimate sign is vulnerability in moments only you witness. Maybe she lets her guard down just slightly, shares a fear or dream, or shows emotion she hides from everyone else. These rare windows are gold. They are glimpses into the love she holds quietly, the love she's too cautious to reveal fully. Respect these moments, protect them, respond with empathy and patience. That is how you honor her love while allowing it to grow safely. Understanding all of this changes the game. You no longer see her contradictions as confusion, you see them as courage. You no longer mistake her distance for disinterest. You recognize it as protection. And you no longer hope for clarity. You begin to see it, piece by piece, in the quiet, hidden signs of her heart. Now here's a question for you. If love is silent, fear is loud, and actions speak what words cannot, how many signs have you missed because you weren't paying attention? Comment your answer below. If this opened your eyes to her hidden feelings, like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this truth.